Okay, so you want to own a gas station. You've seen the numbers online. Steady traffic, cash flowing in every single hour of the day. People need gas no matter what the economy is doing. It feels like the closest thing to a guaranteed business in America. So you run the math. A busy location pulls in maybe 4,000 gallons a day. Multiply that out, and you're staring at a business that could gross over $3 million a year. $3 million from selling fuel. It sounds like the easiest business in the world, but here's the problem. Almost none of that $3 million ever reaches your pocket. In fact, some of the busiest, most successful-looking gas stations in America are barely surviving. Some are losing money every single month, even while their parking lots stay full. So what's actually going on behind that glowing sign? Why does a business that looks like a money machine quietly bankrupt so many of the people who own one? To understand that, we need to start from the very beginning. Think about a gas station the way you'd think about a bakery. A bakery buys flour, sugar, and butter, turns it into bread, and sells that bread for more than the ingredients cost. That difference is the profit. A gas station works almost exactly the same way. It buys fuel from a supplier and sells it to you at the pump for slightly more than it paid. That tiny slice in between is supposed to be the profit. Except here's the twist nobody tells you. That slice is almost nothing. On average, a gas station makes somewhere between 3 and 7 cents of profit per gallon of fuel sold, not $3, 3 cents. Imagine running a bakery where a loaf of bread costs you $4 to make, and you're only allowed to sell it for $4.03. That's the fuel business in a nutshell. So why does anyone do this at all? This is where things become interesting, because gas stations don't actually make their money from gas. They make it from everything sitting next to the register. Think of the fuel pumps as bait. They're not the meal. They're what gets the customer to walk through the door. Once someone's inside buying a coffee, a hot dog, an energy drink, or a pack of cigarettes, the math flips completely. Convenience store items can carry profit margins of 30 to 50%. A $2 coffee might cost the store 30 cents to make. According to industry data from the National Association of Convenience Stores, in-store sales generate the vast majority of a gas station's actual profit, even though fuel brings in most of the revenue. Fuel gets people in the door. Snacks and drinks pay the bills. It's the same trick a movie theater plays with popcorn, or an airport plays with bottled water. The product that gets you there isn't the product that makes the money. But that's only half the story. Because even with that convenience store markup, most gas station owners are still walking a financial tightrope. And to understand why, you have to look at what it actually costs to open one of these places. This is where the dream starts running into reality. Buying an existing gas station in the United States can cost anywhere from $200,000 for a small rural location to well over $2 million for a station in a high-traffic city corridor. Building one from scratch, with underground fuel tanks, pumps, environmental permits, and a convenience store attached, can easily cross $3 million. Now think about a family buying a house. Most people don't pay cash. They take a mortgage, and that mortgage payment eats into their monthly budget for years. A gas station owner faces the same weight, except their monthly payment might be $20,000 or $30,000 before they've sold a single gallon of gas. And here's the part that surprises most people. Many gas station owners don't even own their brand. If you've ever wondered why there's a Shell, an Exxon, or a Chevron on nearly every corner, it's not because those oil giants own every station. Most are owned by independent operators who pay for the right to use that name, the same way a Subway or a McDonald's franchisee pays for the Golden Arches. That relationship comes with rules. The franchise, or in this case the fuel supplier, often controls what you're allowed to charge, how your station looks, and sometimes even which suppliers you're allowed to buy snacks from. It's less like owning a business and more like renting one, dressed up to look like ownership. Now comes the difficult part, the one thing that can wipe out an entire year of profit in a single afternoon. Fuel prices change constantly, sometimes several times a day, based on global oil markets thousands of miles away. But a gas station owner often has to buy fuel in advance, at whatever price the market demands that morning. If crude oil spikes overnight because of a conflict on the other side of the planet, or a hurricane shuts down a refinery in the Gulf of Mexico, that station owner is suddenly paying more for the same tank of gas, while customers next door are furious about rising prices and driving to a competitor instead. It's like being a taxi driver who has to prepay for a full tank of gas before knowing what the fare will be for the day. You're exposed to a risk you can't control. In a business where your customers see every price change instantly, painted in giant numbers on a sign above your head. This is where things get truly brutal. In 2008, when oil prices swung wildly, first spiking above $140 a barrel, then collapsing months later during the financial crisis, thousands of small station owners across the country were crushed. Some had locked in fuel purchases at high prices right before the market crashed, leaving them stuck selling gas for less than they paid for it. It's the exact opposite of what most people imagine when they picture a gas station owner getting rich off high prices. But volatility isn't even the biggest threat facing this industry. There's something much bigger coming, and it's already changing everything. Electric vehicles. Think about what a gas station actually sells. Not fuel exactly. It sells convenience. At a moment when a car is almost empty and can't go any further without help. That's the entire foundation of the business. But an electric vehicle doesn't need that moment. It charges overnight, in a garage, while the owner sleeps. The urgent, desperate need that built the gas station industry for over 100 years quietly disappears. This is where one company saw the writing on the wall before almost anyone else. Kwik Trip, a privately held convenience store chain based in Tulsa, Oklahoma, built its entire empire on the insight that fuel was never the real business. Long before electric vehicles became mainstream, Kwik Trip invested heavily in food service, clean stores, and customer experience, turning locations into genuine destinations rather than just fuel stops. Today, Kwik Trip operates close to 1,000 stores across multiple states and consistently ranks among the most profitable convenience chains in the country, precisely because it never depended on gasoline margins to survive. Compare that to smaller independent owners who did the opposite, betting everything on cheap fuel and thin margins. Many of them didn't survive the last 2 decades of oil price shocks, rising real estate costs, and shrinking margins. There's a lesson hiding inside that difference. The gas station owners who succeeded weren't fuel sellers at all. They were convenience retailers who happened to also sell gasoline. And that brings us to the second story, one about what happens when an entire industry refuses to see the shift coming. In the early 2000s, thousands of small, family-run gas stations across the country were bought out or driven out of business by large chains capable of absorbing thin margins through scale. A station pumping 4,000 gallons a day simply couldn't compete on price with a chain operating hundreds of locations, buying fuel in bulk at a discount no independent owner could ever negotiate. It's the same story that played out with small bookstores against Amazon or corner grocery stores against Walmart. Scale doesn't just help in this business. It's often the only thing that makes survival possible, which raises an uncomfortable question about the future. If margins are already this thin, and electric vehicles are already eating into fuel demand in countries like Norway, where the majority of new car sales are now electric, what happens to the gas station 20 years from now? The honest answer is that it's already transforming into something else entirely. Some forward-thinking operators are converting fuel bays into EV charging hubs, paired with cafes, workspaces, and extended retail sections, betting that people will still need somewhere to go while they wait, just for a longer amount of time. Others are doubling down on food service, essentially becoming restaurants that happen to also sell fuel, the same way Kwik Trip did decades ago. The stations that survive the next 20 years likely won't look anything like the ones we grew up with. So let's go back to that opening dream, the one where you buy a gas station and gallons of fuel turn into a steady stream of cash. The truth is more complicated, and honestly, more interesting. A gas station was never really a fuel business. It was always a convenience business wearing a fuel business's clothes, using gasoline as the hook to get you in the door for everything else. Owning one doesn't mean owning a guaranteed cash machine. It means owning a razor-thin, globally exposed, constantly evolving bet on human convenience. At the exact moment, technology is quietly rewriting what convenience even means. Maybe that's the real lesson hiding under every gas station sign in the country. The businesses that look the simplest from the outside are often hiding the most complicated economics of all. And the ones that survive aren't the ones that sell the product people expect. They're the ones that quietly figure out what people actually need next.